We have to find somebody that'll work with us that has dealt in the dirtiest of dirty business. We're losing.
Diddy's career could well be over, because after 50 Cent dropped those prison tapes of Diddy and the whole internet exploded, everyone wanted to know what else 50 had up his sleeve. And when he sat down to talk about his Netflix docuseries, Sean Combs' The Reckoning, he made it clear, what we've seen so far might only be the beginning. He has more tapes he's going to release.
Is there other stuff that you just have not shown?
Yeah, well, everything couldn't make was 4 episodes.
Right.
So it was a lot, you had to pick and choose things, like even in an area where he chooses to date people who he knows previously dated someone. He has a baby by a woman that was dating Tupac.
Wow.
To add to it, but we had to cut it down so it could.
For time.
Yeah.
So are you coming out? I know next year is gonna be a number 2. Season 2?
Or I just put it on YouTube.
I just put it on YouTube.
That's right. 50 has just hinted at releasing more Diddy tapes on YouTube, of all places, available for everyone to see. And perhaps the biggest, most damaging bombshell that has hit the internet since this 50 Cent interview is how Diddy has since been exposed for trying to intimidate and influence a juror. Here are the details.
Recording it. Well, Diddy was recording it because he thought he was about to beat the case. So he wanted to do a Netflix documentary. Didn't pay the guy, and then 50 got all 140 hours of footage of secret Diddy tactics. Well, there's a guy named Neil who was mentioned in the court, works right up under Diddy, was organizing everything. Allegedly, they are saying that he is on video, film, tampering with witnesses, giving out addresses, offering money, bribing, we'll pay for your lawyers, all kind of shit that could be counted as witness tampering, obstruction of justice. And 50, of all people, has his hands on this footage. And I'm hearing that this could implicate Diddy's lawyers in some bullshit. They could be charged. This shit is getting wild. And I'm hearing that this 50 Cent documentary is just the fucking tip of the iceberg.
This guy in this video said one specific name, and it was Neil, and it automatically made me think of Neil Dominique. Everything that we just covered the other day that came out from Diddy's former chef, Jordan, who was going to be a witness testifying against Diddy in the criminal trial. If you remember, she just took to her Instagram calling out Neil Dominique, saying that he was basically the one to give Diddy information that she was testifying to the grand jury. She has been claiming for a while, when she testified to this grand jury on April 2nd of 2024, just 2 weeks later, Diddy's attorney would text her saying, "Dear Chef Jordan, this is Aaron Dyer. I'm Sean Combs' attorney. I left you a voicemail last week, but wanted to follow up. I have been told you have been contacted by law enforcement and might want an attorney to represent you." So that man in this video was basically saying that 50 Cent has video footage of Diddy talking to these people and setting this up to go after witnesses.
And the wildest part is that now 50 Cent is saying this himself. He straight up revealed that he has 140 hours of footage. After people started talking about it, he even posted online, "Yes, I have the footage, LOL." That alone had everybody shocked, but it gets even crazier. He has since even gone on to talk about why he chose to attack Diddy like this.
Else is telling us as clear as I don't have any reserve, like the fear that they would actually have towards him. I don't think he's special.
And as it turns out, a lot of people who refused to appear in earlier documentaries finally agreed to show up for this one because they trusted 50 and weren't scared to speak anymore.
There's a lot of people in this docuseries that wasn't in the previous docs that you saw because they said, no, I'm gonna do that one because 50, that's gonna be the big one. Because I'm not scared of none of that. Like, I think it's just the way I was brought up. I don't really register those things. I've been through way more extreme things than these people. I look at the project, it's just another project to me, and they can look and create reasoning for it. It could be their personal take on why it's the way it is, but if they watch the docuseries itself, they'll understand it's been done tastefully and it is the best version of a docuseries that you'll see on this. Well, it is a big part of the culture. Like a respectable, he made it to a respectable position and then go to jail. Any smart person would pick their fights. And you say, I don't really get anything out of it, it's not my business anyway, so why say something about it? Like, the docuseries is me putting together people who had different experiences and letting them tell their truth, right? And a lot of things come out that make clarity for you in a different way to it. But I only was comfortable saying stuff about him because I've been saying it for 20 years. I've said it since that day, I'm like, what? Nah.
One of the biggest moments for him was securing footage from Diddy's final days before his arrest and indictment. Watching that raw material for the first time was an explosive, shocking experience, according to 50.
That was really fascinating.
A journalist would ask that, but a journalist would also say, I'm gonna keep my sources secure, but but I got it. They can blame it on me that it's that. I think he's gonna actually like the project. He's gonna see that it was done fair, the perspective. Because he's gonna see too many people or he'll be consumed by what his personal experience was with each individual that's saying things about him because he lived these things. She's gonna understand it. You can interview her following that and I'll do the interview with her. I'll make sure I put it together. Yeah, because I had communications with her to understand it, what's going on. And even though she's not in the docuseries, it was important I spoke to her to understand how things transpired. The husband, I spoke to him away from her, separate individual communications. And see, things kind of match up. Like when people say things, I go, oh, okay, I hear what you said. But when you hear things multiple times from people, different people, it kind of rings true to you. He got old real fast. His hair was jet black, like mine. And the next day, he was like a full. All I saw from was the raccoon pictures from the courtroom. When they drew him, it looked like a raccoon.
And just like that, 50 Cent stepped back into the spotlight with the one thing he loves most, proof, real receipts. And he's letting everybody know that if you're not making a documentary about your enemy's downfall, you're not beefing at his level. Heck, 50 even talked about why the A-listers in Diddy's circle have kept silent about this. For years, 50 has been collecting everything he could on Diddy. Quietly, patiently, waiting for the perfect moment. And now, that moment is here. Diddy is locked up, shouting at his lawyers from behind prison walls, and he can't do anything to stop 50's documentary from blowing up. Diddy's lawyers already tried. They put out a statement calling the documentary illegal, and even pushed Netflix to take it down. Now, one major thing that wasn't included in the documentary was the death of someone really close to Diddy, someone whose death Diddy was responsible for. Anthony Wolf Jones, Diddy's former bodyguard. Gene Deal recently spoke out about Diddy's role in the death of his bodyguard, Wolf, and criticized the documentary for leaving him out entirely. He said the East Coast versus West Coast rivalry didn't start over Big Jake's murder, as some have claimed. In fact, Wolf wasn't the gunman who killed Jake, and Gene insists that's something everyone involved knows. Wolf, who managed security and coordinated operations for Puff, had made it clear that he wouldn't travel unless his team was fully protected. He had warned multiple people, including Puff and Kirk Burrows, that he wasn't going anywhere without proper support.
And Kirk Burrows called me up. He's like, yo, Gene, you and Wolf, I got y'all tickets to LA. I said, all right, cool. So I go down there and I pick up the tickets to LA. I got Wolf ticket. So I'm calling Wolf up. I said, yo, Wolf, I got your ticket to go to LA. Wolf said, I ain't going. I said, what you mean you ain't going? He said, yo, Gene, I ain't gonna tell you how I'm making I ain't gonna tell you how to make your money, but I'm gonna let you know this. I told Puff them if they wasn't gonna take 2 tour buses of my niggas out there with us, I'm not going. Wolf is the head of all the functions that has to do with Puff dealing with security. I have my own contract with Puff, yeah. Paul Alford ran Green Gate Security, which is the daily operations of Puff stuff. That's his house, his cars, his transportation. He ran the office, the bad boy office, the clothing, all that shit. He ran the deli operation with his security. Wolf is over whatever's happening with Puff. You understand? Wolf tells Puff and them and tell Kirksborough and them, no, if y'all not going out there right, nobody should go out there at all.
Tragically, Wolf ended up losing his life while protecting Puff and handling security matters. Gene emphasized that this critical part of the story, including Wolf's connection to BMF, was completely left out of the documentary.
So Wolf did not and was not going anywhere that had to do with California. And it wasn't because of the Jake situation. It was that he wanted to be safe, and the only way he felt safe if he was going out there with the dudes from his clique. And that was the Valley Mob. That's the only way. Wolf ended up losing his life behind Puff and his bullshit. And people they didn't even put that in the documentary. Wolf ended up losing his life behind Puff and his bullshit. And that bullshit was with BMF. That's a big segment in my book that I wrote that whole shit. I wrote a whole big situation in my book regarding that, Mighty. And I know you're doing this. I want to say that right there because I was there the night that Meech had promised Puff, you know what I'm saying? He ain't have to worry about Suge Knight. He ain't have to worry about nobody from this point on. And telling Puff some shit like that made him think that he could talk to Wolf any kind of way. Because if anybody knew, BMF was powerful back then. They had dudes from everywhere. And Meech telling him he ain't have to worry about nobody no more, it made Puff think that he could tell Wolf that he didn't need Wolf no more. And one thing led to the next.
Gene's point is simple. Wolf's death wasn't just an accident or a minor side story. It was tied directly to the dynamics of the industry and decisions made by those in charge, and it deserved more attention than the documentary gave it. Meanwhile, Diddy and his family are allegedly preparing a massive $1 billion defamation lawsuit, arguably the largest in history as a response to the documentary. But even with all that, 50 Cent noted that taking legal action would mean proving that everything said in the documentary is false. That opens a huge door and could create more complications. Financially, Diddy is facing a challenge. Even with his wealth, keeping up with ongoing legal battles, appeals, and lawyers is draining. Without new income, the lifestyle he's used to will be harder to sustain, and that may end up being the real punishment. Now, the real problem for Diddy is that he secretly recorded private conversations with his lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, the very person who had successfully defended him in court. That's a huge betrayal. Lawyers rely on client confidentiality and privilege to speak honestly and protect their clients. By allowing a third party to be present and recording those conversations, Diddy completely undermined that trust.
Mark Garagos, who is my co-host on Two Angry Men, he's represented Diddy for years, and his daughter is part of the Agnifilo defense team, and he was involved in all of this. So in this past weekend's podcast, I pushed him to find out how Agnifilo really feels here, and Mark kind of skirted it some, but I think you get the sense.
Diddy knew that Mark was being recorded, but Diddy didn't tell Mark. Does Mark feel betrayed by Diddy?
I've not talked to Mark about it.
What do you think?
Would feel.
What do you think?
I will tell you, I'll just tell you, if it was me, I would be I would be more than a little upset. I was more than a little upset when the client didn't know and I was being recorded. I mean, there was a while there where I was meeting clients under bridges, freeway bridges, because I was PTSD over it. So I think as a lawyer, it is one of the most inviolate oaths that you take to protect the client confidentiality and the client privilege. So I don't know, I haven't talked to Mark, but if I were Mark, I would be out of my head.
Out of my head.
It's incredible. Diddy did two things here. Number one, he betrayed Mark Agnifilo, who, to your point, did so much for him. Obviously, without Mark Agnifilo, may very well be spending the rest of his life in prison. The second thing that he did is, by having a third party that's privy to the conversation, the videographer in this case standing there, there's no privilege, right? Diddy waived that entire privilege. Right. Now, it didn't end up backfiring because it seems nobody knew about it until the end of trial, and what are you gonna do at this point? But it's such a callous act by Diddy to just sell out his lawyer like that. It's so selfish.
And ever since Diddy made this incredibly stupid mistake, the shocking truths about his criminal empire and activities just haven't stopped coming out. The docuseries sprinkles in footage from this time showing Diddy on the streets, stopping to take photos with people, mostly men, who approach him. In one moment, he jokes about needing hand sanitizer and a bath after all the hugs he's given, saying, "That's what I have to do. It's like 150 hugs, you feel me? We gotta be realistic about what's going on out here. It's time to cleanse." In another clip, Diddy talks about hiring an editor to put together clips of Don Richard, a former member of his groups Danity Kane and Diddy Dirty Money, who has filed a civil suit against him alleging sexual assault, battery, harsh working conditions, and inadequate pay, where she speaks positively about her relationship with Diddy. In case you guys didn't know, Don has very good reason to speak negatively about him, so Diddy even wanting to portray the opposite is pure evil.
Was officially on the stand for 20 minutes. She will continue on Monday, but before I tell you what she testified to, I do want to give you a warning that she does talk about violence and abuse. Started off with Dawn testifying that she was working with Diddy from 2004 until 2011. She opens up about an incident she witnessed in 2009 when she went to Diddy's home in order to record. She said her and Cassie were downstairs when they heard Diddy yelling and coming down saying, "Where the F are my eggs?" She said Diddy grabbed the skillet full of eggs and tried to hit Cassie on the head, and she went down in a fetal position. He was punching and kicking Cassie before he put his arm around her neck. Diddy then grabbed her by the hair and dragged her up the stairs, and she was in shock. She said she was so in shock she did not intervene, nor did she call the police. Next day, she said Diddy locked her and another person in the recording studio and threatened them. In her own words, he said what we saw was what lovers in passionate relationships do. He said Cassie was okay and it would be in our best interest if we didn't say anything. He claims that Diddy then said he was trying to get them to the top of the industry before threatening them by saying where he comes from, people go missing if they talk. Then after all of that, he got them flowers. Prosecutor then asked, "How did you understand that?" And she said, "Death." His attorney yelled objection, and then they had a sidebar. That's when attorneys from both sides will come up to the judge and whisper between one another and nobody else can hear.
If she witnessed, and she's saying that she witnessed a gangbang, which actually we know it as called a train. And she worked on the album, The Train to Paris. And like I heard one of the YouTube, it could be Tistel, say that we didn't know what the train to Paris meant. But now we know that the train to Paris was a train in Scotland, according to Dawn. It wasn't a train in Paris, it was a train in Scotland. Now, only time I ever witnessed Puff doing something is when two guys and two girls would go in the room. And that was just regular. And however they did it, whatever they did, that was their business. But he gotten bold enough, whereas that he would do that in front of Dawn and other people at a poolside in Scotland. You sure it was Scotland, man?
Yeah, that's what she said, man.
Scotland, Arizona, but not Scotland, the country.
Nah, she talking about the country, man.
Wow. I just think that, man, you got to go back to the drugs and the alcohol, man. The drugs and the alcohol, man. And those things that make you do strange things. And for somebody to, gang banging an assistant, she might have a lawsuit now too. She might have a lawsuit too. Because you can't do that to people that work for you, bro.
The series also includes audio from a 2008 proffer interview with Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, who is currently awaiting trial for the 1996 murder of Tupac Shakur. A proffer is basically a legal deal where someone can talk to law enforcement and provide information without worrying that what they say will be used against them in court, though it's not full immunity. In the documentary, Davis gives a detailed account claiming that Diddy allegedly arranged Tupac's murder for $1 million.
Yeah, he even said that, like, in retrospect, that was probably the best thing that could have ever happened to Puffy. By Zip stealing the money, now Puffy isn't connected to that shit. Or else it would have been like a murder for hire or something, you know what I'm saying?
The FBI said it was just Zip.
So the FBI told you the
said he
same
was
thing.
a dirty motherfucker, yeah.
So the FBI told you that Zip kept that money as well.
They said Zip's a dirty motherfucker. Everybody crossed you. You're the last one to know every fucking thing. Even lawyers, your friends, everybody can cross your ass.
Is it proof Diddy did it? Not at all. An interview or proffer like this doesn't automatically prove guilt, but it does help when we can piece the evidence together using the interviews of the alleged killer himself.
What makes you say you lost your empire because of Puffy? Why you say that?
I did. Shit. If I wouldn't have never met him, I would have never been involved in this bullshit. You know what I'm saying? If I would have never met the brother, I would have never been involved in this bullshit. Really. Because me and Suge was playing on the same Pop Warner team and everything. My homeboys helped put Suge in the game and all that shit, you know? And it really crashed two people empire that fucking one night. I'm saying, mine's for sure. Suge's too. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, man. So you feel like Puffy, he's the reason for your empire and Suge empire going down because of the whole situation with Tupac.
Exactly. He the only one still balling. Shit. Yeah, he made our shit go down, man. Yeah, I ain't met him. He won't even look out or nothing, you know?
So break that down, man, for the people out there that don't know the backstory. What did Puffy do exactly to break down y'all empires?
Because he pitted us against each other, it seemed like. Seemed like he pitted us against each other. You know, which was kind of smart because we're Crips and Suge was Bloods. Like, you know what I'm saying? He just called me and Zip was rolling up Greenleaf one night. He called and asked, you think it's safe to come out here to do our concerts? And I just said, man, give me like 50 tickets to each concert and we'll be out there with you. We'll go with you. We went to the concert in San Diego, went to the concert in Anaheim, Irvine Meadows, and the one in Las Vegas with them. Yeah, and back then they was just a startup coming up. You know what I'm saying? They didn't really have no money like that. We were balling. We was the bosses.
The doc also digs into Diddy's earlier life, his relationship with his mother, past romances, many marked by abuse, and insight into his mindset as he climbed the music industry ladder.
This is a young man who grew up with street-funded privilege. After his father passed away, it's very clear that his mother kept on hustling and kept hanging around hustlers. Tim Dog has described the parties in the house: pimps, hoes, hustlers, models, basketball players. You got that kind of crowd. There's gotta be a drug dealer or so there. Alcohol everywhere. There was a stage built in the living room, and they were asked to perform as kids. I mean, like, this is how he grew up. It was almost if he was designed to throw the parties that we'll later hear about, from the white parties to the parties overseas, with very, 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 very interesting things happening there, all the way to the freak-offs. It's like Sean Combs was in a never-ending party his whole life. Now, from a boy being draped in chinchilla to a boy running around the streets promoting parties, interning for Andre Harrell before he got a paid position. I mean, his life was like a whirlwind. It was almost like he was in too much of a rush to grow up. I mean, even the way Andre Harrell said he bullied his way into his home, coming up with some story about a fight between him and Janice and how he couldn't live with his mom anymore. The next thing you know, he's living with Andre. Now I'm going to be very honest with you. In my opinion, I do not believe they were just roommates. I do not believe this was just a mentor-mentee relationship. In my opinion, from rumors that I've heard, from some things that might have been lost along the way, there was a much closer relationship between Andre and Puffy.
It also paints a pattern of Diddy being involved in risky, legally, and emotionally charged situations, while somehow coming out unscathed. Together, all these revelations are starting to paint a picture of Diddy as a deeply broken, deeply evil man who continued a cycle of trauma willingly, and in doing so has managed to hurt several innocent people.